Hello and welcome to a special, as in unplanned, edition of Starcast from Planet Waves. I'm Eric Francis Coppolino, your friendly neighborhood astrologer here, with an edition for the 15th of April 2025. I was motivated to do this because I want to tell you a little bit about the somewhat heavy feeling in the air right now. It might feel like a sense of burden. It might feel like some kind of emotional or sexual constraint, more likely emotional on the creative side. I'm not convinced that people really have much in the way of sexual feelings these days, but I'm open to some form of persuasion. So I'm thinking generally an emotional heaviness in the air. Now, we know that Venus is direct. One thing that's going on is that Venus is approaching a conjunction to Saturn. Now, it was in a conjunction to Saturn about a little more than a week ago, because it, in retrograding from Aries back into Pisces, it made a conjunction to Saturn and then stationed direct just ahead of that. So lingering stationary, that is to say, not seeming like it's going anywhere, about 1 degree away from Saturn. And then when it's stationed direct, then it's approaching Saturn. And the relationship between, well, in Pisces, between Saturn and all that water or all that feeling can be a kind of constraint. It's like a structure, a break wall, a lighthouse that can, to a point for some time, hold back the water. And humans are always trying to hold back water, and the thing is that water always gets through. There really is no such thing as waterproof. And, the Grateful Dead used to say, if the thunder don't get you, then the lightning will. But I would say if the water doesn't get you, then the ice, the rain, or the mist will. And so we've got Saturn in the presence of a lot of water. But accentuating that, and the way this almost always works is that the inner planets, what are sometimes called the personal planets, the things that are inside, of Jupiter's orbit. I mean, one theoretical definition of an outer planet is anything past Saturn. But I'm really talking about the Moon, the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. The things that are palpably related to feelings and to sensory experiences and emotional movement or the seeming lack of movement, planets that are close to us, and that we can see and that we can feel. And so what's going on right now is that Venus is still slow and powerful in direct motion, newly in direct motion, but applying to Saturn. And so that is the sense of weight, the sense of heaviness. And it will dissipate, though there are a number of stages to this dissipation, to this kind of the whole like juggernaut of our current astrology working out part of the way. Now, we've still got major events coming up in May, like big time stuff. The conjunction of Chiron and Eris, which hasn't happened since 1971-72, and then before that, it hasn't happened in Aries since the 15th century. A major watershed for the human race. So I'm not talking about that stuff. That stuff is all going on in the background, and it is moving big stuff that is almost like tectonic. It's too big to see. There are going to be some surprises in store. But of course, we in the world have seen quite a few surprises kind of jump out of the box since January 20th. So when I've got a little roster here that I've written out. Finally, have like okay, let's get the software out and the notebook and the pen and make a list of things. And so starting from an aspect today, I've got a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 events, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 events prior to Saturn entering Aries. So as you probably know, the big deal about the moment now, the big deal about our particular little epoch in history, epoch, epoch, however you pronounce it, is that there are major big ice giants, gas giants, and Pluto and Sedna all involved in either imminent or recent sign changes. And that's just to say that the entire nature of civilization is changing very quickly. And we understand that it wasn't the internet all along, that it was this thing being cooked up in computer labs that was about to be lab leaked, which is alien intelligence, AI. And we need another word for intelligence. I was thinking alien intelligentsia, since the people who are pushing it on us are a kind of intelligentsia. You know, they're the smart ones, we're the dumbasses, we're the chumps, we're the howlies who don't see what's coming. And we're also not the kind of people who could conceive of why, the world might be better without the people. It's kind of the old joke, it would be a great university if not for the students, which we all got to experience during the 2020 crisis. And was it a great university without the students? I personally don't think so. I would not have been thrilled if my son or daughter were attending Harvard on Zoom. So anyway, all of that tectonic stuff is representative of this motion that is going on, massive tidal changes and movement of continental plates, which is alien intelligentsia, AI. And the thing with this is, and I am now convinced that nearly everyone is sleeping through this, is that no one is even really, except for a couple of freaky people who read Marshall McLuhan, no one's really even thinking about, what did the light bulb do to us? What did radio do? Oh, who cares? We'll just, is life any easier? Is really life any better? Are we more fulfilled? We've got almost everything automated. And, are we happier as a society? Are our relationships better? Are our children growing up more content? Are we approaching our humanity or quickly departing from it? And that's a good question. And I think that part of the problem is that this artificial intelligentsia, alien intelligentsia, is anesthesia of its own. It involves a lulling into complacency. Humans are very intelligent, but I will tell you, as someone who kind of manages their intelligence by, reading a lot, having worked with numerous writers and editors who I have trained up from very, very little, teaching astrology, doing all manner of things that require me not only engaging with the intelligence of other people, but also evaluating how they use their intelligence. I will tell you that humans are lazy motherfucking thinkers. We are very smart and very lazy. And now we have the ultimate cop-out of not thinking, of leave the decision to us. I read a thing lately that I spoofed in my orgasm article, my AI orgasm article from April 1st. That seems like so long ago. It was only 2 weeks ago. It was Bill Gates. It was Bill Gates who said, in a short time, everyone will have a virtual assistant to help them prioritize their life, make all the decisions for you, tell you what to do, advise you on what to do. Not having any actual knowledge of or experience of being human, much less your, personal inner experience of being human. All right, so let's. We don't need this. You've heard enough of this, and I'm just saying, pay attention, because you don't really know what's being taken from you, just like you didn't know what was being taken from you when the rectangles came along, those little black rectangles where you carry your brain around in your head. So I'm going to go through this. A list of aspects. But first, before I get there, we are in very stressed out and challenging times. And even if you're doing great, it's difficult to see opportunities. It's difficult to see options. It's difficult to get an overview because we're so mired in like the minutia of minute to minute existence and the things vibrating every 10 seconds. And therapy is hard to come by. There's not very many good therapists, and I'm not convinced I even understand what happens in therapy anymore. And you're not going to get much help from AI, but where you can get help are from a number of, let's say, personal services products that I have created. Now, they are under the genre of astrology. If you're listening to this, you probably have some inclination to understand a little bit about astrology, maybe even a lot. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you don't believe in astrology at all. That's not the point of doing the work I do. It just happens to be part of the method. And these services are all available at the Astrology Boutique. That is to say, astrology.boutique. And you will see there's a wide diversity of things there. And I would say start with anything. They're all modestly priced. They will all cost you less than the copay on a therapy session, or it's, signing up for therapy by chat, for a month, or whatever it is. And what I have done in this work is I have kind of assembled the approaches of therapy and the gems that I have learned, and then I'm able to kind of redistribute them based on the astrological scene for any given period of time. So please do check this out. There's samples of the readings, both audio and video samples, depending on the kind of reading. Again, astrology.boutique. Excuse me, got a little frog in my throat here. His name is Harry. Boutique. Okay. And by the way, I say this because, I think these things might help you feel better. And if they don't, come back to me and tell me that. All right, so let's go through this series of events. So first of all, today, Tuesday, all those T days. Today, Tuesday, the 15th, midday. What we've got going on is Mars and Mercury both are in the last teensy way out on the edge of their signs, both moving direct, both about to change signs. And so in addition to this heaviness going on with Venus approaching Saturn, this sense of constraint, this sense of got to get out of this, possibly a sense of resources being squeezed, but really it's about emotional resources being squeezed. While that's going on with Venus approaching Saturn, Mercury is trine Mars in the very late degrees, and this has a slippery feeling of like, is something going on behind my back? That's the feeling of Mercury trine Mars. Exact like that. And especially in what are called the anaretic degrees, way at the end. Now, both Mercury and Mars are about to change signs. Mercury will do so first, and that will be on the 17th when Mercury enters Aries and forms a conjunction to Neptune. Now, with Mercury conjunct Neptune, it's not really that easy to know what you're thinking and what you're feeling, and it can be like, it can be a situation of total deception, or it can be a situation where your intuition is extremely accurate, which is one of your best defenses, but you can't act solely on your intuition. You have to have factual verification, and an interest in the points in the map and the space, actual events in space and time, to make any kind of a good decision. And with Mercury conjunct Neptune, and I would wait a little while till Mercury is past the conjunction to Neptune, but that conjunction is exact on the real Thursday. That's the 17th. Okay, and then the very next day, this is just giving you a sense of how many parts are in motion. It's not always like this. It's not always like this. Mars enters Leo, re-enters Leo, on the 18th. That is on Friday. Now, this is a by re-enters, I mean that we've been involved in this Mars retrograde pattern that goes back to December. And as part of the Mars retrograde pattern, there was a Mars retrograde opposite Pluto while Pluto was changing signs. So the first two iterations, we'll get there. Hold on. So Mars is going to re-enter Leo after spending a lot of time in Cancer, and Mars is itchy and scratchy in Cancer. Yes, Mars has some dignity in the water signs. It's I think the night ruler of the water signs or something, but there's really no compatibility between the sign Cancer and the planet Mars. It is difficult. It can be emotionally intense without an easy way to express that intensity. So therefore, it could be frustrated, it could be angry, and partly depends upon the the other planets that are moving and where that Mars energy might express itself. Okay, then on the 20th, Saturday, the Sun enters Taurus. So that's that. The Sun through the Sun signs last a month. Get it while it's hot. Planet Waves FM, I'll play my usual assortment of Taurus artists, just to make the point of what I think Taurus really is about. But anyway, that will be another kind of sea change. There'll be a little cooling off. Taurus is a lot cooler than Aries is, and that's going on too. There's all this like heat coming up from Aries in the recent equinox. Okay, then all of this happening with Venus approaching Saturn in the background. So that is exact on the 24th, a week from Thursday. So it's going to take that long for that aspect to work out. This may seem interminable. It may seem insufferable. It may seem like I need to breathe, but use this wisely. Use this opportunity in time well to come to terms with things emotionally, to pay attention to how you feel. And I am telling you that it is my estimation that the net effect of the digital and alien intelligentsia environment is to anesthetize you, to deprive you of your own sense of how you feel. This is what human existence is about. And yes, we can think and we can do brilliant things and we can make language and we can communicate and we can paint art starting on the walls of the Lascaux cave in France. But ultimately, the main feature of being a person in a body, in space and time, made of water and a little bit of carbon, is that it's an experience of feeling and working out feelings. It is easy to get caught in this. It is easy to corrupt this with all kinds of drugs. And now we are basically being dumped on with this anesthetic that is not only outsourcing thought, but cutting off the realm of feelings. Okay, as that's happening 2 days later, while that's going on, Mars is in Leo, applying to its third opposition to Pluto. Pluto in Aquarius. One of the big ones, and I haven't said much about Pluto in Aquarius now that it's in Aquarius, but I've been talking about it in the context of the inauguration chart. And in the context of the inauguration chart, it is a warning that what is happening right now is that a technocratic society is emerging, and it's not long before every known detail of your life is consumed by some alien intelligentsia system that purports to know more about you than you do, and certainly enough to start making decisions for you. We're not grappling with this. It may seem too big, but come on, let's talk about it. I mean, if there were like a comet heading for the planet, and it was certain that the planet, comet was heading for the planet, I mean, would you be out looting? Would you be sitting quietly with your friends? Would you be sitting quietly in meditation? Would you hang out with your cats and dogs? Like, what would you do? So the comet that is approaching is this kind of slick, cool, groovy, well-spoken, more or less, fake thing that is crawling inside of you and making you the way it is. I'm going to end with a really good example from a music producer I know named Billy Hume. I think will make the point beautifully. And it's good with all this Neptune going on, because after Mars opposes Pluto, and that can be a real power struggle. You don't have to bring the power struggle on with Mars opposite Pluto, by the way. But what you want to do is be in timing things over the next 10 to 12 days, not push anything to a head. Because if there's a head for things to be pushed to, it's going to arise around the time of the opposition of Mars action to Pluto, the unstoppable force, on the 26th. So pace yourself. Take it slow. Play it like chess. One move at a time. Thinking 3, 4, 5 moves ahead, which involves a lot of if-then. But aggression will blow right back in your face. Next, Venus finally enters Aries and makes a conjunction to Neptune on 4:30. Another caution that you're kind of not going to really know very much until after that conjunction happens. And Venus keeps making conjunctions to Neptune, but the first two were in Pisces, and now the third one is going to be in Aries. We're seeing a lot of that kind of thing going on, this interplay between inner and outer planets, with the outer planets changing signs. Finally, speaking of, Saturn enters Aries on 5/24. This is synchronous with the conjunction of Chiron and Eris. Now, I've got more to say about Chiron, and I'm going to do a special reading, a special Chiron reading for people with their Chiron return squares and oppositions, and I'll be doing a special Saturn reading for Aries Saturn returns and recent Pisces Saturn returns, and look for news of those in about a week or so till I make the art, and then I will I'll make them available. Okay, so that is it. So the sequence of events goes Mercury trine Mars today, anaretic. Then Mercury conjunct Neptune. Mars re-enters Leo. Sun enters Taurus. Venus finally makes a conjunction to Saturn. That's 4/24. Keep your eye on that ball. Mars opposes Pluto 2 days later. Keep your eye on that one. Venus conjunct Neptune. That's 4 days later. All of this is the last week of April. It's going to be an interesting week. Then we get a little break. And then things heat up again in the last week of May. Okay. So here's my best example of what AI is doing to us. And in fact, all digital technology, but I'm someone who believes that digital is AI. The minute somebody made a mathematical calculator, put it on the market that could you do square roots or divide or multiply, that was outsourcing thought to a computational device. That's all these things are, is computational devices. You're nothing like them. Here's an example. So Billy Hume, music producer, he by the way is kind of instigator of my newly found enthusiasm for YouTube, which I'm currently not exercising very well now because I'm sitting in the dark talking to you. He said he was answering the question of why music sounds so bad now. Why does it sound so bad? And it's not merely that it's uninspired and that it's all written in the key of A minor. It all sounds like somebody's last Tinder date didn't work out. He's saying there's something going on in the sound, and that involves digitization. So he gives a couple of examples. He says, first of all, in the old days, the band would play the song together. That starts to go away like in the 90s, when you don't need that when the recording is starting to be digital. But that's important because the musicians, one of the things you're feeling is the way the musicians are resonating with one another. And if there's somebody playing the tambourine and the guitar player is hot for the person playing the tambourine, well, that tambourine player is very influential because that guitar player is gonna jam out a better performance. Another thing going on is that the instruments were not all tuned to exactly the same note. They were not run through auto tune. They were all off by a little bit. And what that did was it created a bigness to the sound, where if you've got the bass just slightly off of the guitar, just slightly off of the keyboard, it's going to make a bigger note each time there is a note. And if you auto-tune all those and you clean them all up, you're going to get a little note without any real overtones to it. Now, you're thinking, yeah, but I want my tones. Well, if you want your tones perfect, you're not much of a musician. I mean, Robert Fripp, had one of his guitar exercises is don't tune the guitar. Play the guitar without tuning it at all as an exercise. How about that? Okay, and when Jerry would play, Jerry never played a normal note. It was always a little extra sweet or a little extra sour. It always had a little bit of cloyingly sweetness or a little bit of tart or a little bit of bitter. He was so good at this. And this is a human thing. Okay. So additionally, to sum up, all this auto-tuning is shrinking down what is already badly composed music. Second, there's a lot of cutting and pasting going on. The band will do the chorus once, and then they'll cut and paste it, boom, 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 through the song, and then that's it, and it's the same every time. Well, that's not very interesting. There's no motion. It's not moving anywhere. It's not going anywhere. Where's the feeling? Where's the feeling in cutting and pasting? Okay, then there is the issue of the rhythm, quantizing the rhythm. So all of a sudden, you can run the whole song, every track, through this effect called quantize. It's in all the programs. It's all in the DAW, digital audio workstations. You quantize it, and then suddenly everyone is perfectly in line. Unlike in real life, with for example, the Grateful Dead, you had Mickey a little head of the beat. You have two drummers. Now, why don't a lot of bands have two drummers? It's not easy. So you have Mickey a little on the beat. You have Billy laying back on the beat a little bit. You have Phil with the bass holding time center. It's not anything that you can necessarily hear, but it just creates an expansiveness, a resonance. It's like taking a picture with the aperture open. You can get part of the picture in focus and part of it blurred, and it's interesting. It's interesting to look at. It doesn't just look like an iPhone snap. And so the artists, so-called artists, who are making this music, and the producers who are making this music are stripping out all the things that are inherently human. No Rolling Stones song would hold up to a metronome. It just wouldn't hold up to a metronome. The band is breathing. They're going a little quicker. They're going a little slower. They're a little on. They're a little off. Now you've got just about every drummer playing to a click track. That's not very interesting. It's just not. So here is an example of this is human-made art made by human producers with. And there's other issues, like it never goes through the air except for the vocals. Everything is just direct into the computer, going right from the keyboard player's hands or the guitar player's hands straight into circuitry. It never makes a sound that is recorded, or if it does, an electronic keyboard never makes a sound. But if you've got the keyboard going through an amp, going through a mic into the recording, it's going to sound bigger and more interesting and more beautiful. So we have humans conditioning themselves to behave in these very strange ways and to make music that is starting to sound like it's made by the computer, not by the people. And this is basically the entire digital effect. It is turning musicians into these musical technicians, and it's fixing all their supposed errors. And then the resulting product is a thing that doesn't have any feeling. I mean, I really cannot name one song that has come out, like for example, since the last Radiohead album. It's so bland and uninteresting that what am I going to learn? Like how when I listen to Kate Bush, I mean, Kate Bush is taking me into a place where I'm going to feel something I've never felt before. I'm going to feel something from her viewpoint, and that's the beauty. That's the beauty of the music. And that's the beauty of art. And that's the beauty of being human, as difficult, as challenging, and as messy as it might be. What we're doing by just letting this bowl over us and consuming all the products that it makes without thinking, without being able to even discern what's real. Every YouTube ad now is done by an AI voice. I can hear it in 10 seconds. I can probably look the voice up in whatever that thing, 11 Labs. That's one of the AI voice generators that I use when I'm doing art. And you can hear these. Not only are they using shitty voices, they're not even working with the voice. They're not even doing anything to texture it or to work out the intonation, the pacing. Nah, just get it jabbering in the direction of the consumer's ear, and hope that you can convince them that the world is ending, and that's why they should buy a generator to power a freezer and 500 pounds of steak. Oh yeah. The end of the world is going to be real good. A lot of people believe that. You know what? Here we are, and we're experiencing something that we need to take notice of, and the way you take notice of it is you sniff your dog's ear. You give him a little nibble, and take him out for a run. And remember to play with your kitty cat. We tend to ignore cats, but pick them up a few times a day and tell them how much you love them. All right, signing off from a place called Sodas Point on Lake Ontario. Lots of love, and bye for now.